Hello again and welcome to day 2 of how to move from English teacher to business English trainer. Today we are going to have a look at 2 further points. The first one are considerations when you are setting up a new business English course, what you need to think about. And the second one is what a needs analysis is and how we carry it out. So let's begin by having a look at some of the main considerations that you need to think about when you're setting up a business English course. Okay, if you have a look at the first slide, you will see there are different points that we need to think about. The first one that I've noted is what are the objectives of the course? That is probably the most important point that you need to think about. What do the people want to get out of the course? Why are they attending? And what's the time frame that they have given themselves in order to achieve these objectives? So you may have a group of people who have decided they want to improve their email writing and they have a 4-week course where they meet 90 minutes. Or you could have a class where they say we just want to speak better business English in general and move our levels, and we're going to give ourselves 6 months of 90 minutes per week in order to do this. Another point which is very important is we need to consider the levels of the participants. There's more flexibility in business English training classes than there are in general English training classes. We often have to put in people together who have got slight differences in levels, but where there are very large differences in levels which make the teaching too difficult to achieve, we often need to speak to the person who is funding the class, the company, and ask them if they can prioritise participants. Are there people who need to have the training more urgently than others? Okay, then the next consideration is in what context do people need to communicate? Are they working on a daily basis with people with whom they need to speak English? Is it just a weekly basis? Is it a monthly basis? Or is all the communication carried out by telephone, by email? Are they travelling for business? And all of these things are very important because it will affect how you teach, what you teach, how people respond, the level of progress that they make. So it's very important to look at the context and communication needs. The next point which you as a trainer really need to think about is how are you going to teach the people? What kind of materials are you going to use? If they have very specific needs, they may require you to develop tailor-made training, which means looking at authentic materials, which is something that we'll look at later in the week. If it's just a very level-based course that they just want to improve their general skills in the business English area, you may even be able to get away with using a textbook. And finally, for you, especially if you're working on a freelance basis like me, it's important to consider an attendance policy. What happens when people cancel classes? What are your expectations? What are the expectations of the client? And can you meet each other halfway? For me, for example, it's normal to have a 48-hour cancellation policy so that I can be paid for the times where people cancel at the last minute and when I can't organise any other work. So those are the considerations that I think are very, very important for business English trainers when you're setting up courses. And the other extremely important thing at the beginning is to carry out a needs analysis so that you've got very clear objectives that you're working on with your learners. So needs analysis are important because you need to find out their expectations. What do they want to achieve in the duration of the course? You also need to find out about their current language competence, so you can use systems like the CEFR levels of A, B and C from 1 to 2 in order to be able to place them and then know what their starting point is. You can often do this using an online system or interviewing people directly. Needs analysis can also be carried out on a paper-based basis. There are lots and lots of online needs analysis which you can download, and take with you on paper, or if you have internet connection, you can automatically upload these things online. Okay, you need to find out, as part of the needs analysis process, the skills which are needed, as well as the language which is needed. And finally, it's always worth interviewing personally the participants and the sponsors if time allows, because it's good to have a personal contact with the people before you start the course, in order to find out anything that they're concerned about, any experiences which they've had in the past which they didn't enjoy, their particular learning styles they may tell you about. And if you can have some contact to the sponsors of the course, to the company itself, you may find out valuable information which may differ to the information that you get from the participants. Okay. One important thing to reflect on when you're writing down the objectives is that the objectives should be there to give you a backbone to the course. The objectives really should be like your playlist. You know what your next step is, you know how you're following on from the previous objective, how everything's related. But to be able to write the objectives down, you need to find out a lot of very specific information. And one very well-known system of doing this is to follow this system of SMART goals, which we can have a quick look at now. So the SMART goals, there are different letters and they represent different concepts behind goal setting. So S is for specific. If your learner says to you, my goal is to speak better English, that's not a specific goal, and it doesn't help them and it doesn't help you. So you need to ask prodding questions to find out exactly what they mean by that. So a specific goal would be, I need to be more assertive in meetings, for example. Or I need to be able to give presentations more confidently, especially when I'm talking about figures and statistics. Those are the kind of goals which give you a concrete idea of what the person wants to be able to do. And measurable is the next point. You need to set goals where people can actually reflect on their progress and they can see themselves, have they made progress or not. So for example, if people needed to be more assertive in meetings, you could test this via a role play or a simulation. Attainable is, can I really do this? Can I really achieve this particular goal, especially within the time frame constraints that I have and my level? Would I expect somebody to be able to give a perfect presentation at A2 level? Maybe yes, I tend to doubt it. So attainable is, can I really achieve this goal? Relevant means, do I need to be able to achieve this goal? If I'm a secretary and all I do is answer the phone, do I need to be assertive in meetings? Do I need to give international presentations? If the answer is no, then maybe people need to reflect on more appropriate and more relevant objectives. And finally, is my goal or my objective, is it timely? Is it realistic within the time frame that I've got? And can I make my deadlines flexible if I don't achieve it within the time frame given? So following SMART goals and getting people to make concrete, very specific objectives at the start of a course and as part of a needs analysis is essential for motivating people to move towards success. So we've had a look at the considerations of how to set up a business English course, and we've also had a look at needs analysis and what it involves. And later, when you have some time, there's going to be a reflective exercise for you to think about these points. Okay, so thanks for watching the video today, and I'll see you again tomorrow.